Two men. Some podcasting equipment. What could possibly go wrong? Don't you think we have enough of them?
Yeah, we have enough of those.
No! Ladies and gentlemen, prepare your ears for a listening experience you've never had. It's Pertinent Podcast!
Welcome all back to the It's Pertinent Podcast. The podcast where the more you push...
The more that comes out.
Yes, fantastic work.
I'm here with my lovely co-host, Jimothy Jamiroquai James.
Yeah, and I'm here with my other co-host, Kurt. Please hold your applause. Please
Thank you so
hold
much.
your applause.
So this is episode 2, or technically episode 1. We've had a discussion about that, whether it was episode 0 last week.
I think we've decided on episode 2.
So this is episode 2, technically.
Yes.
And a problem I noticed in episode 1 was that we didn't do any introduction on who we are at all. Because mainly, I was expecting my mum to understand my name, but she pointed out very strictly, it's like, hey, Kurt, you got to let me know who I am, who you are. So, James.
Yes.
We met 4 years ago?
2020.
5 years ago.
5 years ago.
5 years ago now, playing basketball together, actually.
No, it was before that. It was midway through COVID lockdown.
Right.
In some Among Us lobbies.
Yes.
Through our very good mutual friend.
You gonna name drop him?
Nah, no name drops. No name drops.
Unfortunate.
Not yet, at least.
And we named the podcast It's Pertinent Podcast.
Yes, the PP Boys, Pertinent Podcast Boys, for those who are just joining.
Yeah, which was a big sell for why we called it Pertinent Podcast. But it does also have some further, not really like deep meaning.
No.
But my rationale is that calling it It's Pertinent Podcast means that anything we talk about then becomes pertinent, relevant.
Where the relevancy.
Yeah, exactly. We dictate that. Also, it's a good word.
It's a pertinent. It's a fun word to say.
I do like it as a word.
Pertinent.
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 Yeah. So that pretty much
40 minutes of just saying that.
Well, you can release that as a episode later down the line for some milestone.
Yeah, 100 episodes in, we just say pertinent for 40 minutes.
And then by the end of the episode, it will sound like a completely different word.
Or by 5 minutes in, it will sound different.
Yeah.
It's already starting to sound different.
Pertinent.
I'm not going to say it again.
Do we want to go back over the rules pretty clearly?
Yeah, I think it's probably a good idea to refresh any newcomers that might come in.
Yeah, just for a few episodes until we, have a basis and the rules are understood. So rule number 1, I don't remember what order they're in, but I do know I do know. If you say something, you have to mean it.
Yes. Which
I thought was pretty standard, but it was something that James said we had to have. 1 swear word per episode.
No free plugs, sorry.
Taking a drink of water in the middle of...
No free plugs. I was in the middle of the frame and I needed to take it out.
Fair enough. 1 swear word, so we avoid getting the terrible E on our podcast.
Demonstrable E.
Awful, good word.
Thank you.
And then finally, no cuts to segments unless it's a really bad mess up.
Nothing cut. Getting straight into the podcast, the structure of it might be a little bit confusing to some newcomers. The podcast within itself is comprised.
Very good.
Thank you.
Good recovery.
I figured it out.
Yeah.
Comprised of 3 segments. Each week there will be new segments.
Wait, it's deprived of boring content.
Exactly.
Oh,
dude,
very good.
We got it in the end.
Very nice.
So 3 segments each week. Some segments will be returning.
Yep.
The fan favorite ones will be returning more often than not.
Yes, very true.
And we're going to mix it up.
But yeah, we've got a bunch. So we'll be cycling through those. But yeah, for people who are too used to 2 people sitting down in front of a microphone and just spouting crap for an hour, we're going to
do that, but with structure.
We're going to break the norm.
Exactly.
We're the abnormal pod.
Ooh, I don't know if
I'm not going to not like a title, but we could garner that as our reputation.
The abnormal boys.
Do other people have to garner that, or can we do that? Well, I don't want people saying, "Wow."
Yeah, I don't know if I want people to call me abnormal.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
Not the greatest nickname I've had.
No.
Not the worst though.
Very quickly before we get into the first segment, just wanted to update the many people who were hanging on about this last week when we did Fan News, and I explained something interesting that had happened in my life, which was that I was going to buy a motorcycle. Guys, you can breathe now. I have bought a bike, and if I get one singular DM to the IPP account on Instagram, I will post a photo of it.
One.
Just one.
Uno.
Does it count if it comes from my personal account or no? It's going to count.
Yeah. I think a DM's
I'll
a DM.
get a story.
A DM's a DM's a DM.
It's a DM. Bit of a controversial segment last week. We had one of our dear friends, who again I'm not going to name drop, write into me via text message that he thought of a better name for this segment than the one that we had.
Outdated.
No. I don't love this. No, we're not outdated.
No, I meant the messaging system was outdated.
What would you prefer?
Who texts? I call.
You do call, much to some people's...
Hey.
No, I'm just kidding. And they suggested that for the segment Reverse Adlibs, that we could call it Radlibs.
I think the silence speaks for itself.
Yeah.
We will not be calling it that.
Very loud silence. Look, it's in the bank. It's a choice.
Yes.
You know, I feel like it completely defeats the purpose of having a name that like Radlibs.
Yeah, like rad.
Because then we got to explain it. Whereas Reverse Adlibs is very cut and dry.
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
But we appreciate the suggestion nonetheless.
You might want to put that in reverse so you can understand what I just said. Last week, it was me who gave you all of the words for this segment, which how this segment works is it starts off with the word association game. So there'll be 10 words that whoever's on the receiving end will have to think of a similar word or a relating word.
Or just the first word that pops up into your head.
Well, exactly, yeah, as best as you can. And then the other person has to make a story out of it. So last week, it was me who asked the words, and then I made a story, which was fantastic.
It was very good.
About a man who
had
worked
a very questionable relationship with his cooking boss.
Yeah, he worked in a virtual reality pizza place. And what a roller coaster that was. Whereas this week, I will be being asked the word association segment of this, and then James will be making the story.
Yes. So I've got 10 words here.
Yep.
Are you ready?
Okay. How did you do like the coffee beans to cleanse your mind last time? Because I was floored about how well you did that. I feel like I'm going to have words that have nothing to do.
See, that's the thing. That's my secret, General. It's always clear.
Yeah, it's not. You
It's
liar.
not clear. It's not clear.
You
Anyway, I've got 10 words.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I think so.
Do you want a second? I'm going to give you a second.
Chinese rock garden, just a blowing breeze, a tumbleweed. Okay. I'm good.
Okay. Attention.
General.
Barnacle.
Octopus.
Salsa.
Dancing.
Engineering.
Team Fortress 2.
Coffee.
Grounds.
Trade.
James Buckley.
Okay.
I don't know.
Pokemon.
Pikachu.
Darius Garland.
I wanted to say goat, but no, goat, yeah.
Okay. Go. I'm going to put a question mark next to that.
Yeah, cool.
Prime.
Optimus.
Cord.
Telephone.
I'm also going to put a question mark on that
Yeah,
one.
okay.
Okay. Wow.
That's 10.
Yeah, that's 10.
That's okay.
That was pretty good.
It's weird being in the seat in that. Yeah.
It is.
Because I'm worried, I'm like, okay, how can I best help you with the story? But also, what's the first thing that comes to my head? Because I had like multiple things I wanted to say. Like, I don't think, do barnacles grow on octopuses?
No, barnacles grow on like
my next thought
shipwrecks.
was boat. Yeah.
Right, okay. That's okay.
Maybe they do that because they're sometimes they'd be stationary and barnacles. Actually, I don't know what a barnacle is. My first thought was Half-Life 2, actually.
I'll be honest, the only
which is a video game.
The only exposure I have to barnacles is Barnacle Boy and Mermaid Man.
Fair enough.
And I know that
Where are they
Barnacle... From SpongeBob.
Yeah, look, I never watched SpongeBob. And you want to know why?
Why?
Do you know when they did those hyper-realistic segments? When they zoomed in on SpongeBob?
Yeah.
I saw one of those. I was like, Mom, turn this off.
Really?
Yeah, no. Couldn't do it. I just found him so gross.
Well,
I didn't like it.
Now you're an adult.
Is it like Adventure Time where it's worth going back to watch? Really?
Absolutely, bro.
Has it got a story?
Yeah, there's an overall story, but it's like any...
How are you speaking to the microphone?
Sorry, it's like any... Drop my pen. It's like any long-form TV children's TV show.
But they're not all good. That's like saying My Little Pony's worth watching.
Bro? Are you kidding?
Brony. Yeah.
Are you going to be brony?
Don't convince me.
Okay, I've got a story to tell.
You do.
You really cooked me here with Team Fortress 2.
So what did you ask? Engineer?
It was engineering.
Look, there's a very small subsect of people who are going to hear that and be like, good one, Cody.
I feel heard.
I'm recognized.
Okay.
Team Fortress 2 is a video game from a long time ago, by the way.
I'm just going to go where my mind takes me. Wherever that takes me is where I'll go. The other day, I was walking past a store that happened to be a general store. And I walked inside really hungry, fiending for some food. And the first thing I saw was a seafood aisle. Along this seafood aisle, there was boxes of octopus. And the octopus, the first one that I saw, I reached out and I grabbed it. And as I was taking it to the cashier, it started to move. Almost like it was dancing. How am I going to get to Team Fortress 2? Dancing. And it reminded me of a ability you can do in a very popular video game I like called Team Fortress 2 of the dancing emotes. And I suddenly started to have a panic attack and I needed to have some grounding techniques to really pull me back to earth. And one of my favorite ones is thinking of my namesake, favorite person, James Buckley from The In-Betweeners. Am I right with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He speaks to me in apparitions about everything and anything. And speaking of video games, he yelled at me about Pikachu. There were trading cards on the cashier's table, and I grabbed some of them. And the first one I pulled was a character that looked like a goat. As I pulled this, another character popped into my brain. Optimus Prime. Also, the Optimus... This is not part of the story. Optimus Prime. And then suddenly, I realized the store, there was no manager. And I heard a buzz, a very peculiar buzz.
Right.
And I looked over the cashier's counter, and lo and behold, the ringing and buzz was a telephone. And I picked it up, and it said, "You haven't taken your schizophrenia medicine." And I hung it up, and I was in a doctor's office.
Okay. Really good. Very strong ending.
Thank you.
Very strong ending, because that was such a schmozzle of all different...
Yeah.
I was rocked. There was everywhere, but I feel like that kind of tied this big jumble of nonsense all into a nice little puzzle under the heading of, because why are you buying, like, who's buying a box of
octopus?
Yeah, in a store aisle. You
exactly.
Didn't say
in a general store.
In a general store, yeah.
Would you believe me if I said that I planned that from the start?
The octopus part?
The entire story?
No.
Okay. You were correct.
Yeah. No, I know. I have a technicality.
Oh.
I said grounds. You used grounding.
Okay. Can we get an independent adjudicator? Because
looked over there. It's not there.
Someone's walked in here. Because grounding and grounds both have the word ground in it.
But that's not the point of the game.
Okay.
It's to use the words that I came up with, and you didn't do that.
Well, what are you going to do about it, bucko?
Well, I'm going to be real upset about it until next time. Okay.
You know what? I think for this round, unbiased opinion, I think we should leave it. But for going forward, -1 pertinent point.
Okay. I'm happy with that.
But for this round, we should leave it.
Just to rehash on what a pertinent point is.
Yes.
There are competitive segments every week that we're doing. And to determine who wins those competitive segments, there is going to be a poll on our Instagram account to determine what the people think is the right answer.
Yes.
And those pertinent points will build up. And at the end of every month, the person with the most pertinent points will decide on a forfeit for the person with less pertinent points.
How scary.
Very scary stuff. But yeah, don't have to deduct one just yet. That was your first try at it. You know, we can't all hit the ground running.
I think I hit the ground crawling.
The grounds.
Yeah, the
Did you
grounds.
catch that?
I
Yeah,
did.
cool.
I caught that.
That's how you use the word verbatim. Just going to underline that there.
I don't think...
I've got written on my sheet here, grounds -ing question mark, just to bring that up to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, back in my day, we didn't have cell phones. You know, I would have made it to the league had I not. Mere mountaintops, valleys, and treacherous ravines were not enough to keep me from going to school. There was this one time...
Yeah, that's enough dad lore out of you, Dad. I don't believe any of that.
Did he just say,
Dad lore?
Kurt,
Yes.
do you want to have kids?
absolutely.
Not right now.
With you?
Well, I don't know how that would work.
Adoption.
Touche. But yes, you want to have kids one day.
Yes. In the terms of fatherhood, I would like to be one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think a big part of fatherhood is telling stories in small chunks over long periods of time to slowly give your kids the idea that you are a lot cooler than you actually are.
Huge part of being a dad.
Absolutely. I think all dads can agree on that.
They would.
I can speak because I'm a dad.
You are?
No, I'm not. But I can imagine. Well, this segment gives us an opportunity to have a bank of those stories.
Yeah.
So they have no opportunity to not believe us.
Yeah, right. Okay. So it's all documented.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've aptly named it Dad Law.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. A law from being a dad.
Chronology of being a dad, yeah.
Yeah. And I believe you might have a story for us, Kurt.
I absolutely do. Whether or not that's an unfortunate thing can be decided at the end of this segment.
Yes.
But I've got a little story. I'm going to try and condense it as best as I can.
It was a warm summer evening just 1 month ago when Kurt found himself on the dance floor of a salsa night, not tango. Do you think you could teach me to dance? I'm really new to this, he exclaimed confidently to this woman who had caught his eye. She grabbed his hand and spun him, ready to lead him for the rest of the night. Kurt was there with his friends, all of which tried to do the dancing, but it was getting late and time to leave, so they were headed to the exit, prancing. "Give me 1 sec," Kurt shouted as he headed back across the room. He had digits to retrieve from this dance instructor before he could bring himself to leave. "I'll meet you back here in 2 weeks to solidify all you've taught me." "How am I gonna know you're here?" "I'll give you my number, surely." And so Kurt walked out victorious, little knowing what he had done. He high-fived his friends and smiled after having had so much fun. Before the fortnight was up, she had asked him on a date. It was good, they meshed well, but something was astray. Kurt couldn't quite tell what, but he made sure to tell his mates. The day of the dance had come, and Kurt was awfully put off. Something about this lady spoke crazy, so the decision he made was tough. "I'm probably gonna stay home tonight," he texted, which she met with much dismay. He'd also promised his friends he'd be there, and they surely would not let him ditch. He changed his mind and said, "I'll meet you there." "I'm going to make you jealous. I'll dance with other guys. How dare you bail on me but not your friends? That doesn't feel quite right." This all felt incredibly off-putting for our little Casanova. He'd felt he dodged a bullet by not going to her house. It would have only been a matter of time till he could not make it out. On the train ride there, he decided that something was surely wrong. So he acted right accordingly. To stay far away from her, he hid behind his friends all night long. Dancing with a friend, a peculiar figure approached him. She stood there upright. Her arms were definitely folded. He did not rush to greet her, and nor was he surprised to hear what it was she said next. But he'll know better next time.
"Can I have a kiss?"
She chuckled, which didn't seem so wrong. One for the cheek of a stranger. That's commonplace, is it not? No, not for this crazy woman. She outswerved him to the line and planted one straight on him, against his will and mine. "I hope that wasn't your girlfriend," she muttered. Kurt's friend had left his side.
What an incredibly dumb thing to say. Like, why would have I brought you here if my girlfriend was also here? That makes no sense.
Baffled and uncomfortable, Kurt assured her he'd meet her on the dance floor. He walked straight back to his friends where they prepared for this Cold War. "I'm done. I'm just going to ignore her for the rest of the night." "That's so weird," Kurt decided, and this surely was the best plan. He danced most with his friend/girlfriend because she'd volunteered. The woman didn't like this, not one bit. She put on quite the performance, but no attention of Kurt's was captured. He was happy to be left alone a while and danced along without her. Lasers, a piercing gaze, she burrowed into the back of his head. Kurt hardly noticed it and enjoyed his willful ignorance, but Kurt's observant friends told him she was turning quite red. She followed him around suspiciously, but Kurt wouldn't bite. She even pushed the friend he'd been dancing with, a drama queen, in spite. But tensions bubbled to the top when the last dance was taking place. Both Kurt and his girl-friend were salsa-ing. Between them, sensible space. Hands held out in front of them, a gap was made indeed. When the crazy woman approached them, she ducked under their hands and walked through. Kurt turned to his friends, weak-kneed, not knowing what to do. It was hilarious and absurd and the greatest thing he'd ever seen. What insane levels of pettiness, but the climax of it all has not been. The night felt almost over, so the group retreated for a drink. On the way to the bar, Kurt was walking in the line. It was his fault for staying at the back. Something in the future he'd rethink. Kurt heard something from his side, a voice he surely remembered.
I need to talk to you.
She pleaded, but Kurt had had enough. Honestly, the way you've acted tonight has been too intense for me and I have no interest in talking to you. I'm gonna go hang out with my friends. But this was not good enough. She begged and coaxed and commanded.
I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you.
And as Kurt turned away, it happened. Her hands reached out and grabbed him. 10 fingers dug into his wrist, and he wrenched away in fear. Let go of me, I'm not talking to you.
I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you.
Saved by one friend who helped him away, Kurt finally made his escape. But it wasn't over yet, as she trailed him like a snake. Kurt turned around to find she was pushing into his group. They were resisting, but she was strong, and repeated the same.
I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you.
She said something of speaking like mature people, which Felix found hilarious, and said, "There's nothing mature about what you're doing. Some things are better left unsaid." It wasn't until security was called that she finally left him. Not left, but distracted. She spoke to that poor man for half an hour. I have no idea what she told him, but she ended up quite sour. Escorted out of the club, Kurt was safe. For this hour. One for the storybooks for sure, and dad lore definitely. But it doesn't end quite there, but on Kurt's phone, funnily. 38 messages and 7 missed calls. From WhatsApp, Instagram, and a no-caller ID. This saga is surely over, and Kurt rests at night peacefully. But around the corner she lurks, in the darkness, waiting for me.
Coming off my victory from last week of Show You're Working Out,
Yep.
we didn't properly explain what this segment actually is.
Yeah, I realized that when we were watching it back, we both knew what we were talking about and that was good enough.
Yes.
So I've got a better explanation this time. So, Show You're Working Out. This segment is where we find a concept that we are both equally unfamiliar with. We don't have to be completely unfamiliar, but mostly. And then we're going to get a very limited amount of time to write down how we think this works. So we've got to make an assertion. It's like this works like this. And then we show our working out why that statement is true.
Yes.
And then at the end, we will both reveal our answers as well as what the actual answer is. But subjectively, whatever you in the car, at home, doing the vacuuming, think is
Having
the
your
correct,
lunch.
will decide via Instagram poll subjectively what you thought was the better answer.
Better explanation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Psst. Hey, what's the capital of Thailand?
The capital of Thailand is Bangkok. I'm almost positive.
Show you're working out.
So the topic this week is going to be social battery. We're going to have 3
I was
minutes.
about to just explain it.
Yeah.
I was gonna be like, oh, the social. No, that's the.
You can go
that's
on.
the
3
Oh.
minutes and then a few minutes to explain.
Also, something we need to add, we also have a time limit on when we're explaining it. So we can't ramble on, we have to
Yeah.
be very concise.
Yeah. You're
How
okay.
long do you think?
A minute.
Max.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So 3 minutes to write it out.
Yep.
We use Google?
I'm just going to put on a 3 minute timer right now.
Okay. All right, go.
3, 2, 1, go. Hands down, please.
I think that I have nailed this,
Okay.
but I'm also incredibly unconfident.
Okay, great.
I'm going first because you went first last time. Actually, no, we can rock, paper, scissors.
You don't want to paper, rock, scissors it?
You want to scissors, rock, paper?
You can go first.
Oh, okay.
I won, so I decided. Just for
That's
anybody
fair.
who was wondering, I went scissors and James went paper.
We probably should have yelled out.
We'll get better at this whole podcast.
Yeah, we'll do it
Yeah.
better. Anyway, am I setting a timer?
I'll set a timer, sure.
Or do you want to time it and
whoever
then
get-
whoever can get... No, because then that's...
you're
Just put a
rushing.
timer. Just put a timer up.
1 minute?
Yes, you let me know.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right, everybody has a certain level of energy for any activity they do, regardless of what it is. Physical, mental, social. Now, when you go to social events, you have a certain level of energy to put out to others. When you're with your close mates, your energy's higher. When you're with people that you barely know, it's a little bit lower. Now, your prefrontal cortex produces chemicals that tell you how much of Randy's story, like a random person's story, that you can take before the internal timer is up, because you have an internal timer. And when that timer is up, you get flooded with the bad endorphins, the bad chemicals, the bad hormones telling you, hey, you gotta get out of here. Time's up. You gotta leave. You're over it, as they say, as the kids say. And like the more uplifting people you have, the longer that social battery can last. I think
Is that pretty good?
I'm pretty happy with that.
That's good. No, I agreed with a lot of that. What is a prefrontal cortex?
So it's a part of your brain.
Yeah.
So your cortex is the lumpy part in the front of your brain.
Yeah.
So there's two sides of your brain.
Yeah.
The cortex is the front part.
Yeah.
The prefrontal cortex is the front part of that.
Right. And what does it do?
So it releases chemicals.
Okay. And your random person was called Randy.
No, because I had it say Randy, but Randy story, because everyone knows a Randy that
But
they
then
don't
you reinforce it with Randy, just some random person.
Yeah.
I just thought that was fun.
Because random Randy.
Randy random.
Oh, that's my Randy over there.
Randy random. Coin that. Absolutely.
Yeah, you know
coin that.
what? F***ing Chuck.
That's my Randy.
Oh no.
What?
I just swore.
Oh, you did too. You've got it 2 weeks in a row, man. You hog.
did, but it was bad. It wasn't good.
Nah, I mean, it was in...
No, it wasn't good. I'm self-proclaiming that. That was a throwaway. I had a good
was a
one.
throwaway,
I had a
yeah.
good one lined up as well for this, but I was like, you know what? I'm
See,
gonna give Kurt.
I didn't even notice it. That's how throwaway it was.
I might bleep that just because that's how bad it was.
Okay.
We might bleep it.
Okay, cool. So there's still one on the board?
Still one on the board, but I can't
Fuck
do it.
yeah.
You know what?
We'll see.
We'll think about it afterwards.
Do you want to use my timer?
Yeah, for sure. I can time.
Your time? Oh, here you go.
All right, you ready?
Yes.
It's whenever you start speaking.
Social battery is a chemical storage related to human interaction. It's going to affect introverts and extroverts very differently. Depending on type, your body grows tired from socializing or gets rejuvenated by it. Having a small battery doesn't mean that you lack interest or that you don't want to. It's just how much adrenaline and endorphins your body can generate before the end of this social interaction. I believe that it's not something that you can train. It's just something you have to learn to endure. So social battery is something that you're given on birth, and it's just part of our... Why are you hiding the timer? I'm pretty much done. Yeah, it's a birthright. Like you grow up either a very social being or not. And some people are able to...
Some have more.
Yeah, some people have more, some people have less. But it's not always related to how badly you want to hang out with somebody. It's just the way you are.
Very succinct. Very succinct. Very
you.
well done.
Thank you.
And on time.
On time too. I was looking over. I had about 20 seconds left
did.
and I was already finished.
Yeah. I kind of dragged mine out.
Well, yeah, 'cause you're being
doesn't-
smart.
It actually doesn't say Randy down here.
You made that up?
No, it does.
All right.
It does say Randy.
So,
Okay.
apparently...
We don't need to look it up because the answer's here.
I know.
down.
I had it really well done. Thank you. I just wanted
You
to check...
used adrenaline as well. Mm-hmm. That's so good.
Well, you get that a lot when you're, especially if you're a socially anxious person. So
Is that more anxiety than adrenaline? Actually, let's just.
well, they're
read
both. Anxiety produces adrenaline because anxiety isn't a
Fight or
chemical.
flight.
Yeah, exactly. Fight or flight is how much adrenaline. Like, yeah. Actually, I'm not going to go and explain
Yeah,
that. Let's keep that. We'll do that for a different one.
Yeah.
So yeah, social battery is a metaphor we use to refer to our ability to socialize with other people before feeling drained. So that was their topic sentence on. This is on www.withyouth.org. So it's a metaphor. It's not a scientifically researched thing.
I'm sure there are scientific studies on it.
Yeah, which I liked your explanation on it with the prefrontal cortex.
Yeah, that's correct.
Do you want to look that up?
Sure.
The only other explanation on here that I get straight up is the social battery gets drained from certain things and charged from others, and what drains and what charges social battery changes depending on whether you're an introvert or extrovert, which is exactly what I said. No need for scientifical, biological jargon.
Okay. I got the fact that the prefrontal cortex is in the front of the brain very correct.
Well done, man.
You know what?
Deductive reasoning.
Regardless, if I win, I'm happy. At the end of the day, I'm happy.
So go vote. We are across all different pipes, whether that be Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you ingest your pod. But the
Apple
voting,
Podcasts?
so I'm working on that.
We're working on it.
Yeah, that is a possibility.
Yes.
But the poll for this pertinent point to be won will be up on Instagram.
Yes.
You can only have a poll up for 24 hours. So I feel like we need to have a poll day.
I think we do every release day for the last week.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah?
Or the Friday of that week.
Friday.
Just so people don't forget.
Or release day of the week of that it's released.
Follow the Instagram and you won't have to worry about
we'll
this. We'll figure it out.
We'll give you time.
Absolutely.
And I put the Randy thing in there as a joke.
Yeah.
I actually did mean Randy, not random.
Really?
But I said random and I was like, you know what? Kind of works.
I kind of like that.
Randy
If
is
we ever
random.
release t-shirts and it's like just hanging out with my Randy.
Maybe that's what we call the people that watch.
The Randys. Actually, that's not bad.
That's not bad.
Going out to all our Randys out there.
Yo, what's up, Randy?
What up, Randy?
And that's to everyone.
Everyone, absolutely.
I don't hate that.
Cool. I'm going to make like a, I don't know what it's called, but like the iconography for a toilet, how it's those little guys, those little stick men.
Yeah.
Have a shirt with that guy posing with his hand up. And just like, say hello to my Randy.
Randy, that's a copyrighted image, actually.
Oh, for real?
It is, yeah.
I'll just draw a stick man.
Unfortunately. Yeah, well, that's not copyrighted.
Yeah, I draw pretty cool stick men sometimes.
You'd be good.
That was actually my thing, man, because I couldn't draw. I was terribly not artistic. You've probably seen it. I feel a little thing in my bedroom. Maybe I'll throw this up on one of the pipes, which is like I was in like year 5 or year 6, and I had to explain all the different things I liked doing in my life. Well, I just drew instead of getting pictures, I drew little stick men. Me doing stuff. So it's like
Did you pass the assignment?
I don't know if it was even graded. Miss Hare.
They probably. Wow, name drop.
Yeah,
old.
She was cool.
Yeah, fair enough.
She was cool.
Old teachers.
If Miss Hare watches this podcast.
Shout out Miss Hare.
Shout out Miss Hare. I know where you live. I'll come give you a cup of tea. I was going to say high five. I'll come have a cup of tea with her. She's probably old now.
Hey, why can't you do both?
Very good.
That's how it works.
That's all we have for this week.
That is all we had.
IPP. I've been your PP Kurt.
I've been your Pippi James.
And we'll catch you next Wednesday. We doing anything next week? Are we doing anything new next Wednesday?
I don't know.
Do you want to add that in later on?
We'll fix everything in post. Nothing's real. Everybody's lying to you. Have a fantastic day. We'll see you later.
Way to refreeze. Was that a James Acast bit?
No?
Refreeze the ice. Never mind, don't forget about it.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us this week. That is all until next Wednesday, where we'll be having our first special guest. Couldn't lock down Russell Crowe or James Acaster for that matter, but hey, c'est la vie. We'll see you then.